On a day when several college football playoff contenders certainly did not look the part, Notre Dame absolutely looked the part in a 49-14 victory over Army at Yankee Stadium. Obviously, you see football field on a baseball field right behind me. Notre Dame made that its home away from home on this Saturday night, and just a thorough beatdown that was every bit as impressive as the final score suggests. This was an Army team, obviously, that went into the game unbeaten, undefeated, a perfect 9-0. They just had never seen a team like Notre Dame, and that the talent gap was certainly evident. Notre Dame came out prepared, jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Army actually had the ball first, and every single time Army has had the ball on its first possession this season going into this game, it had put at least a field goal on the board. Touchdowns in 8 of 9 of those games. Notre Dame's defense holds the Black Knights to a 3-and-out. I believe there were 3 or 4 more 3-and-outs. There were 3 or so turnovers on downs. I mean, this was a Notre Dame defense that was clicking on all cylinders at all 3 levels as well. The defensive line, even without Howard Cross, who missed his second game in a row with an ankle sprain. The defensive line looked fantastic. The linebackers looked good. Kingston Viliamuasa actually left this game with a knee sprain, so there's another injury to monitor if you're Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman said that they will be looking at that Sunday and going forward, obviously. But outside of the injury concerns there, Notre Dame just absolutely looked great in holding Army, a team that was number 1 in the nation in rushing yards per game going into this one with upward of 350 yards per game. Notre Dame holds them to around 200. On the other side of the ball, it was Notre Dame's own rushing attack that absolutely stole the show. I mean, Jeremiah Love, 130 yards on just 7 carries. He gets into the end zone 3 times. It's his first 3 touchdown game of his career, 2 rushing, 1 receiving. He scored a touchdown, at least 1 in every single game this season. He's been phenomenal. Riley Leonard had a very, very efficient game in which he was 10 of 13 for 148 yards, a couple touchdown passes, no interceptions. So he's still only thrown 1 since that Week 2 Notre Dame loss to Northern Illinois. That feels like a very, very distant past for Notre Dame. This is just a completely different team the Fighting Irish are right now. They win another game by over 30 points. They've been averaging around 30 to 35 points per victory during this 9-game winning streak that they are on. Marcus Freeman becomes the first Notre Dame head coach in program history to have 11 ranked victories in his first 3 years as head coach. He passes Frank Leahy's record that was set way back in 1943. So Freeman stands alone at the top in that regard. Notre Dame wins 10 games in the regular season for the first time in the Freeman era. You're saying all these firsts, and they're good firsts for Notre Dame. We've seen some bad firsts for Notre Dame in the Freeman era. Again, those feel so far removed right now because this is a Fighting Irish team, as I said at the very top of this, that is just handling its business right now, and that's more than a lot of the teams in the top 10, those college football playoff contenders could say today. I mean, this is the penultimate week of the regular season. This is when you're supposed to be playing your best football, and it looks like Notre Dame has arrived to a point in its season where it is doing that when other teams from some of those bigger conferences, Alabama losing by 21 points to an Oklahoma team that only has 6 wins right now. It's just some unthinkable things happened in college football, and the Irish didn't fall into that trap. So very, very impressive victory for Notre Dame, for Marcus Freeman, for both sides of the ball. Just really impressive stuff, setting up a regular season finale that you still, if you're Notre Dame, you go into that one at USC next week, and I think you guys can see right there that the Trojans are playing UCLA right now. Doesn't look like a very good football game, but Notre Dame still needs to play a good football game in Los Angeles, you think, to get into the college football playoff. With some of the stuff that happened in the top 10 or top 12 today, you're starting to think maybe Notre Dame can get in with a loss, but no, you're not thinking that way for Notre Dame. You definitely have to win if you want to host a college football playoff game in South Bend in that first round. So you've won 9 in a row. You've come this far. You're not thinking, hey, foot off the gas. That's just not an option. Marcus Freeman in his post-game press conference today looked determined as ever. He says that the Irish are striving for perfection, still have not played a perfect football game this season, which you have to agree because perfection is impossible, but just the fact that remains that there's more out there for this Irish team, I think is very impressive, because what we saw here today in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium was a top 5 caliber performance. If you're the Irish, you're looking like a top 5 team right now. And you had the talent edge in this one going in over Army, even though the Black Knights had not lost to this point in the season. But sometimes wacky things happen in college football. So Notre Dame knew that it had to make the most of that talent edge. And then that's what it did. And Jeremiah Love running free from this Army defense, and Riley Leonard completing 10 of his 13 passes, like I said. And then the defense, just third down, fourth down, situationally was phenomenal tonight, outside of a few penalty concerns. But, again, those are things that if Notre Dame cleans up, they're looking like a true threat in this college football playoff. And that's a long, long way from what we saw in September. So there's still some Notre Dame fans and family and friends down there celebrating right now. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here because we're pushing midnight. But just a really dominant, impressive performance for Notre Dame. Keep it locked here on this YouTube channel for more coverage of this game, going into the USC game, and definitely go to blueandgold.com to check out all of my work and my colleagues' work coming out of this game.